Welcome back to another video. In this video, we are going to talk about crossover settings for your Dolby Atmos channels, your height channels. Now, just so you guys know that one of the main purpose of this channel is to get the most out of our home theater experience. So I welcome good feedbacks, other viewpoints, so that we all can learn from one another. Now, the crossover settings I'm gonna specifically talk about is when we set our speakers to small for bass management, so that we can redirect all the bass low frequencies to the subwoofers, because we all know that the subwoofers has the best deep tones and can handle all the bass. And basically I found that for the recommended settings for your crossovers is 80 Hertz. 80 Hertz does seems to be the most optimal settings regardless of the type of speakers or brand that you own. Now, for the Atmos heights, the thing is that it's still kind of debatable whether to set it from 80 or less, or 80 all the way up to 250 depending on your processor or AVR, because I do know that a lot of times when you leave everything on one settings, so for instance, let's say you leave everything on 80 Hertz for your speakers, it seems to be everything seems to flow fluently, and it seems like it has the most optimal impact. But now that we have Atmos channels, the way I run mine is 80 Hertz on the bed layers and then 120 on the Atmos channels. The question is, does having your Atmos crossover, just so that you can get the most bass management out of your subs when it comes to high speakers, does that really matter? Does that affect having it a different frequency? Does that affect the way your bass management impacts when it's time to produce that impact, or should we have everything on one frequency such as 80 Hertz? Now, I don't want to set my bed layers or ear level speakers to 120 Hertz just to match my Atmos at 120 Hertz. I like to keep it 80 Hertz or below. In this case, I want to keep it at 80 Hertz. But the real question is, for the Atmos channel, should I leave this at 80 Hertz, or is it okay to go to 120 Hertz? Because I've tried it with everything with 80 Hertz, all the channels, including Atmos, and then I obviously tried 100 Hertz, 90 Hertz, and 120 Hertz. So I basically cannot tell that for the Atmos channels, if I were to run it from 80 to 120 Hertz, if that makes much of a difference. I can't really tell if that help with the bass management or don't help with the bass management. So the only reason why I run my Atmos channels at 120 Hertz is just so that the crossover frequency for that, I know that at least when the crossover frequency is higher on the Atmos, I know that anything below 120 Hertz, if there was a thump or bass, a low tones frequency to come in, that my sub would pick it up for that Atmos channel. But if that doesn't really matter at all to whatever setting that is for the Atmos, then I would rather have everything at 80 Hertz, which is the same frequency. But if anyone knows or have more knowledge or is clear on the subject matter of the crossover settings when it comes to Atmos, whether, like I said, can we keep it all the same to make it more optimal, or does it really matter if this frequency is different? Because I do know that you don't want to have your frequency too much off, the settings too much off, so that it doesn't throw out the balance of the bass management. So that's pretty much the question that I have. I want to see what you guys' thoughts are. What is your consensus when it comes to the bass management crossover for your height speakers? But until I get a different, or until I hear you guys the consensus from everyone, I'm gonna still probably run 80 hertz for the bed layers and then 120 hertz for the Atmos channels. So that is the question I'm putting out there. Like I said, I like to hear you guys' thoughts, ideas, or if it doesn't really matter, let me hear about it. What are you guys really running in your crossovers? How are you doing your bass management? Let me know. Keep it friendly, and we'll find out the consensus on this subject matter. But until next time, subscribe. Thanks guys for tuning in. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Hooded Dragons out.